Okay. In this, I have put certain things like what is fundamentals of urban climate research. Last time we have discussed about briefly at building level what can be done. Okay, similar understanding can be developed at urban scale also. Okay, and what are the different ways in which the urban settings can be studied, how heat flux in urban settings can be understood, and modeling tool. Okay, this is the focus of my topic today, but I will also just very briefly run through this so that you know the complexity of the process or the understanding that we have about the urban setting. Okay, and I also quickly take you through two case studies that we have done under European Union project, under project called Birucom. Okay, so how we have approached in not two case, one case study from Birucom and one study done by MArch student that we published in one of the most or highly cited publisher in urban climate. I'll show you how we did, what we did in that. Yeah, and also some thoughts on why architects do not do or not inclined to this kind of assessments, this kind of scientific evaluation of buildings in urban forms. Okay, what is that which is stopping architects to do something in this line? Okay, so of course let us not go through the details. When we say climate, when these are about temperature, humidity, wind, and precipitation, that we should understand. Okay, and of course at macro level, okay, so the climate is influenced by geography, its and the meteorological factor. If you remember, when we discussed about the Indian subcontinent and how fragile it is, okay, how the climate of the Indian subcontinent is determined, okay, because of the Himalayan range on the north and northeast, and we have Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea on this side, and also we have Western Ghats and the Ghats, East and Western Ghats along the southern part of the country. So how these topographical features and natural features dictates the climate of the region. Okay, so this is very broad at India level or Indian subcontinent level. This is the picture. A similar thing happens at a micro scale also. Suppose if you are taking this as an urban setting, okay, so these also will have, let's say there is some amount here. For example, Vijayawada itself, we have a mountain on one side, and then in between we have some canals running. Okay, and if you just go a little bit, maybe 1.5 kilometers away, we have paddy fields, and so on and so forth, right? So how these features impact the immediate climate is also we need understanding of that. Okay, that is at macro level, and at micro level, that's macro. Okay, and further down, if you scale this further down, okay, we have let's say same thing. We have streets, okay, and within street probably we may have some open spaces, and we may have tall buildings. Okay, we may have very small footprint buildings as well. Okay, so this is a different setting, and this is a different setting. Okay, so and even at this, when we say microclimate, we are discussing at this scale where individual buildings impact is computed. Okay, here that is not the case. The entire chunk is actually taken as one mass, and then its impact is understood. Okay, so at micro scale, this is what that needs to be understood from it. Yeah, and let me quickly take you to all. Let's skip all this because probably this will be too much. Yeah, okay. So I said three things, two things here. One is at one at the Indian subcontinent level, other at the city level, and other at the street level. Okay, so these are not very unorganized approach in understanding the climate, but it is a well organized approach in the form of climate. For example, let's say there are specific words mentioned, or there are specific terminologies used for understanding this kind of climate. Okay, there's something called planetary boundary layer in urban setting. There's something called urban boundary layer, and there's something called urban canopy layer. Okay, so in this case, for example, this is this is the broader scale that we are talking about. Okay, urban boundary layer, and within that, if you see this component, okay, that is explored here, and this is the local scale. Okay, so that's a blown up of this part. Okay, this entire thing is actually understood using urban boundary layer. Okay, what is boundary layer? Again, let me put it in very simple manner. If you have learnt about urban heat islands, we say that as we move away from the city, okay, so this is a core city, and as we move away from the city, there will be a point at which the temperature of the city will gradually come down, and rural setting, the temperature of rural setting will get influenced. Okay, so within this region, the region between these two extremes are called the urban boundary layer. Okay, where the influence of urban can be felt, urban fabric can be felt in the temperatures. Okay, so the second one, if you just take the blown up portion of that component, then it becomes the urban local climate. Okay, so where again here it is a macro influence, the influence of macro elements on the climate. Here the influence will be dictated by the how streets are laid, how vegetations are there, and so on and so forth. And if you further scale that up, okay, if you further scale that up, this is what you have. This is called micro scale. This is what we are interested in, and where we can do something as architects and come out with some useful interventions. I'll show you one case study, one example where we have done something at this scale, what we have done, and what are our approach, what is the method that we use to understand this. Yeah, so three scales you can remember this: urban boundary layer, and urban or canopy layer, and the micro scale. Okay, and I have put these are some reference. Maybe you can check what is the scale when we talk about urban boundary layer. What is the scale? And when we say urban micro scale, what is the scale at which we are talking about? Yeah. Okay, and these are other things. For example, let's say in buildings we have discussed about. See, for example, we have. Let's say this is the build form. In building, we say that okay, what is that we discuss? Let's say from the heat perspective. What is that we discuss? We say what is the insulation of this particular building? What is we do insulation analysis that tells how much of the surface is exposed to direct sunlight. Okay, how much is indirectly the surface is getting heated, how much is directly getting heated. Okay, so heat flux is one thing that we talk about. Okay, how much it absorbs and how much it radiates back. Thermal, for example, thermal mass of the building. Okay, and also the other things like we talked about the aperture or the openings. Okay, how much is the openings in the building, and how much that will contribute to the heat gain or ventilation. Okay, similarly, similar thing happens at urban scale also. Okay, so there are certain surfaces which absorbs heat because of the kind of material that is used. There are certain elements that will some heat will be radiated back and some heat will be stored in the building, and some may have greeneries and how it behaves. Okay, so for example, if we have greenery, there is some different mechanism, there is some different science, energy balance that takes place in the greenery. The same energy balance is not applied when we have water body. Okay, the same energy balance does not apply when you have the built mass itself. Okay, there's a specific slight change in all this. Yeah, and which leads to the understanding of how urban climate can be defined. Okay, so yeah, there are different types of urban climates and all. I think this will be beyond requirement now. Okay, I'll like to highlight one thing. If you are interested in this subject as well, if you want to know more about it and how does it work, all that, there is very fundamental book written by OK. It's called Boundary Layer. Boundary Layer by OK. So this is kind of a like a time saver standards for understanding urban climate. Yeah, about climate and its impact on the urban setting. Yeah, so maybe you can note down somewhere, and sometime if you require, it's a freely available PDF. You can download and see. It's a very old book, but as on date also we go back and refer to it. And in fact, these images that you see is not done by OK in his book in 1989. But it's all redone in the current scholars, the one who was working on these lines. They have redone all whatever he has discussed in his first edition. It has been converted into graphics or the language in which we can understand very quickly now. Yeah. So, which leads to the understanding of the urban heat islands, and it can be different things actually. It can be surface heat island. We normally know only one type. Okay, we put everything under urban heat island. Okay, actually there's something called subsurface urban heat island, surface urban heat island, canopy layer urban heat island, and boundary layer urban heat island. Yeah, so. Yeah, we are interested in canopy layer urban heat island. How immediately, in my case, what we have done is on the canopy layer urban heat island and how it can be mitigated. There are certain mitigative measures that has been suggested. For example, going for green infrastructure, evaporative cooling, green walls, water sensitive urban designs, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so of all that, one component is the building design. Yeah, so building design is one of the component that needs to be very thoroughly explored from the science perspective. Okay, so all that we discussed last class and the summary which I gave in the morning on building design, which includes right from orientation to choice of material to form to envelope, all that is discussed, is part of this building design that is there. Yeah, this is what, okay, from building design perspective we have went through all this. Yeah, so in order to understand this we need that. Okay, the most important part, which I thought this will be the takeaway for you, if not the previous slides. How do you analyze building? Is the question. One is graphically we are putting buildings here, and then you say that this is the primary wind direction, and this is the secondary wind direction. Okay, and then we just put some diagrams. You say that this is western wall, eastern side, and I'm putting the buildings here, something like that. Okay, so can we be more specific and scientific rather than just being very conceptually presenting this idea? Yes, we can be very specific, and there are very different specific tools available as well for us to explore this. Okay, one such tool, very simple tool, what I'm going to tell you is very simple tool which anyone can try. Okay, I'm not discussing complex tools which is also there, but in fact I don't know whether I have highlighted here, just one second. Yeah, I have highlighted complex tools as well. Complex tools in the sense professional tools, professionally uh, uh, professional building assessment modeler or energy expert who uses that tool. We are not discussing about that. We are discussing about very simplified tool which architects can use this. For this also, we need to have good understanding about energy balance, what is comfort, ventilation, daylight requirements in the buildings, and also about material. Okay, so once we have these basic fundamentals that architects are supposed to know. So once we have that, probably these tools are easy that we can run. So using this tool, you can assess about heating, cooling, lighting, comfort of a particular building as well. Okay, I'll just show you how it looks on the site. These are web-based one. I have just this is the face or the website. This is developed by MIT. Okay, so it is actually meant for architects. See, for example, architects and building designers can use computer model to improve indoor comfort and energy performance of conceptual building design. Yeah, again, conceptual building design, we are interested only architects. It is meant for architects to use it. Okay, because most of the simulation tools are complicated in this aspect. So this is one tool you can use. For example, what we need is I've clicked here. This is basic. I've clicked here. You should know the fundamentals. For example, let's say in which region your model is, in which city it is. Okay, so that appropriate climate can be taken. Okay, for example, in this case there are only few cases. For example, I'll stick to Madras, and what it will do is it will take the climate equivalence. We need weather files, right? I hope you are aware of. For modeling any any building or any urban setting in a virtual environment, we need to have weather files. Okay, so what is the temperature outside and how the temperature, the temperature data should be inbuilt in the software or integrated in the software, so that the assessment can be done. Okay, and other things you should know: what is the typology of the building, what is the density, and how long you are going to, how long the occupant will be there, and what is the kind of ventilation strategy that is used. Okay, ventilation rate that is needed. What is the thermal mass of the structure. Okay, building geometry. Okay, and roof, and also the opening size and all that. So once you give basic input, okay, whether it is how is it oriented, window orientation. Yeah, so once you give all that, you will be able to generate one report which will give you very basic understanding about how that building will work. Okay, so probably you need some 15-20 parameters. If you can give that, you will be in a position to you will be in a position to assess the building parameters. Yeah, this is one thing. Then you can also look for other tools. I think some of you must be familiar with Revit, and also modeling using Revit, right? So Revit has got inbuilt modeling tool inside. Okay, so Autodesk inside 360 is also there, and probably you can also check this format also. I was trying to open it. Let's see if it is open. Yeah, you can do online check as well. You need not. It is not necessary that you have to have a downloaded version. You can do all the performance using. I'll just show you very quickly some part. Maybe.
Hello, welcome to the postgraduate program in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning offered by the
Format then launched a web browser.
I don't have basic ones. Okay, anyway, fine. I'll just remove this. So it is not necessary that you have to have. You need to have a downloaded version. You can do it online. This is online version. Okay, so directly you can model here, and then you can depending on the climate. Again, all that has to be modeled. Okay, so all the similar performance can also be analyzed. Okay, and also if you are using the Revit, you can do it within that. You don't have to come out of that tool. Building insulation analysis, daylighting analysis can also be done within format itself. Okay, so this is again a basic tool that we can use to analyze building more scientifically for climate. And other sophisticated tools are there. For example, let's say CoolVent. If you are designing buildings only for natural ventilation, there is one simple tool that MIT again has developed, where if you are working on stack effect, okay, I put here. For example, let's say if you are working on chimney, single-sided ventilation, if you want to know how it works, okay, so you can use this tool for analyzing the naturally ventilated building, specifically for a buoyancy effect or stack effect concepts. And as far as daylighting is concerned, there's a very simple tool called VLEX that you can. I think you need less than 2 hours to learn this tool itself. This is again online version. You don't have to download. Also, you can do it online. Okay, so this will help in, suppose if you are designing for daylight, okay, how much daylight you are getting, yeah, and to what extent the opening size is helping you in getting the daylights. And then we have something called dynamic daylight. I think I will skip this and then I'll explain it to you a little later about that. And of course, this you must be aware, I guess. If not, I think you should definitely explore Climate Consultant, where climate data can be understood very thoroughly. Okay. For that, what we need is EPW files, weather files for specific location in which the building is located, or you should give the appropriate lat-long information, and then if the data is available, it will fetch. Otherwise, we need to download the EPW files and upload it here and for assessments. And also probably this you must have learned it in your climatology subject, psychometric chart. Okay, traditionally this is one chart that has been used for understanding climate. Okay, So I'll show you along with this. I'll show you where you can look for this tool. Okay, and of course, shadow analysis. I think you must be using SketchUp for this, but you can also try this tool, which I'm going to show now, for your for more interactive and more scientific assessment. Yeah, and there are other things called energy 2D and 3D, where if you are looking for very specific heat exchange in the buildings, you can look for this tool. These are again all what I've said is all free version, except this one format, where little bit some aspects of analysis is restricted only in free version, but for if you have full version or student license, you'll be able to do all the analysis. Yeah, and these are basic things, but there are advanced tools. For example, let's say in MX Studio we use Energy Plus, and we have purchased IES. We have it here in our campus and in the computer lab. We have Transys also. This is also again one of the powerful tool. eQuest is also we use. This is a free version we can use. Icotech is no longer available now. Design Builder is also we use, and these are advanced professional tools for building performance and analysis. Okay, what I have shown now is all basic things which any architect can try. Okay, so where do you look for these tools? The first thing is, yeah, you can look for these tools in andrewmarsh.com. You can take note of this. If you Google it, there are so many tools are available here that we can use it for our analysis. Okay, so one is of course this dynamic daylighting psychometric chart. Okay, I have opened psychometric chart, for example this one. Let's see, I'll import one or two examples. Let's say this is this is the weather data of New York, and how this is getting read in the psychometric chart. Okay, we can import this as well. I have downloaded Nello's data. If we need EPW file. Okay, so I'll just import this data set. Yeah, this is Nello's data, and you can see what is this, how do we read this. I have turned off many of the parameters here, so I'll just, what I do is, okay, for example, let's say we use psychometric chart to understand the comfort conditions, right? To what extent we can achieve natural ventilation in this set of climate, right? So for understanding that, there are so many studies are there, models are there. Okay, for example, Gioni's bioclimatic model is one model. If you put that as per Gioni's bioclimatic classification, only this region is comfortable one. So that means some part, okay, only if the temperature is of this range, okay, and humidity of this range, this is the comfort period in the total weather data itself. This is annual. Okay, what you see is total is annual, and this is the range where you can see comfort conditions here. Okay, there are other models also. For example, outdoor heat model. For example, if we are working on some public spaces, public space design and so on and so forth, and if you want to know how extreme the climate is from the perspective of heat, so you can use this model where you say that, okay, only a temperature of up to this and also uh, also a humidity of this range will help will be better in all other cases. With the some measures needs to be taken so that the better environment can be created. Okay, so this is about it. We there are other models also. Okay, so normally we use ASHRAE. Okay, where as per ASHRAE it says that any any point which is within this range is comfortable. Okay, so outside this is not comfortable. So you can see, of course, this is where Nellore data. You can see the kind of discomfort periods that we have. Okay, so I'll just change the weather file just to understand this. Okay, so this is the reverse. This is these are example data set that they have put. If you see London, it is quite opposite. Okay, these are very cold regions. Okay, only comfortable region is only for some part. Okay, let us keep this data itself. Yeah. This is Nellore data again. So there are so many models are available. You can see, and also you can, and even if you have not understood how to read psychometric chart, this will be a good start. Okay, so this is one tool that you can definitely try. I'll close this. The other tool that I have put here is on dynamic daylight. Okay, so this again, dynamic daylight is another tool where it's very similar to SketchUp that you have, and other only thing is you can do only models of this nature. Okay, where only two-dimensional in the sense you can't do any other form. Only square or rectangular form can be analyzed. Okay, however, by you can import the weather files, you can import different materials. You can load specific weather file and then analyze how big by keeping openings of this nature on the east and west, how it works. Okay, so this again is very simple tool. You don't need, so let's say for example this is at 11 a.m. You can see you don't need any sophisticated modeling skills. But of course you need to know about the how to read this. That much basic understanding is required, but that is not a very difficult task actually. Okay, so this is one tool you can use where you can check how much daylight you are getting for the amount of for the kind of window that you are placing. Yeah, you can do all that. You can modify, very simple tool. You can try that. This is one. Yeah, psychometric chart I have explained. There are other things. Maybe if you are interested in landscape also, you can try this as well, where yeah, before landscape I think I would suggest this shadow analysis again. Okay, so there are some inbuilt model they have given, and then in fact you can bring your own model, SketchUp model here, and then import the weather file. Okay, import specific weather file for your case. Okay, and then you can analyze the building in a similar way. Yeah, so this is a 3D sun path. And again, if you have not understood how this works, okay, so this is also a best example what is sun path and how it impacts the building can be understood using this. Okay, just one second, if I can yeah, right. you can explore all this here. Okay, so for different timing, what is the case, and so on and so forth. Just once again. Yeah. Yeah, I think once you have the weather file, you'll be in a position to exactly map it. I just want, and I can see. Weather file, once we import the weather file, this will be, you will be able to customize to your specific locations. Anyway, fine, let's see. Okay, so this again you can explore so that you know how sun path works, and what can be, yeah. Okay, so I think if you don't know, I think we can set the lat long, and you can use lat long to explore how building shadow is casted. Yeah, I think weather file is not required, I guess. Only thing is you should know lat long. Yeah, what is the lat long of a particular place, and then you can do. Okay, so I think, yeah, it is taking the lat long, not the weather file. So once you have that, yeah, so automatically you can see the sun path, how the sun path is changing. I hope you have understood the sun path diagram. I guess, see, this is Vijayawada's data. Okay, so you can see that how perpendicular. I think if we remember in when we discussed about the global climate, right? I said in the equators and close to equators we get perpendicular sun, right? So you can see this for throughout the year, almost we get almost perpendicular the sun rays. Yeah. So let's say I'll just change to Delhi. Okay. So how as we move further north, okay, the angle in which we receive the sun is changing, and which is why we have such a difference in temperature. Let's say if we go further north, Paris, yeah, you can see I don't think we need any further explanation. Okay, if you have sunlight directly perpendicular, how much sun will get, and if we go this way, how much we get. Yeah, so this is one thing. Even if you have not understood the basics of sun path, this can be done. See further north, okay, what happens? Sun does not even come to further than this. Yeah, this is Norway. Okay, Sri Lanka. Yeah, further south you can see how it is getting impacted. Yeah, sun path you can try. This is useful. I'll normally suggest when we take first semester for AMARC students, we spend a lot of time in exploring these tools. If you are interested in 3D understanding of how a tree works, okay, how modeling can be done, how you can modify the for all understanding, okay. Just to model it, and of course you can export and bring it to your other things also. I think there are very specific trees also, okay. So if you are interested in landscape and these kind of things, maybe you can explore this too. Yeah, there are other tools also. For example, I would suggest you can explore weather data also. So if you have let's say some data set and you want to read how the data is explored, so I'll open the weather file. Okay, so this is Nellore's weather data set. There you can explore. This is dry bulb temperature, this is dew point temperature, relative humidity. Okay, so this is in hours, you can see here, and this is by month, and this is by percentage. Yeah, so when do you have maximum temperature, maximum all whatever parameters, climate parameters, all this are climate parameters. We don't use all this, but we do need some of it. For example, wind direction, to from where we'll be able to get all that, wind speed. Yeah, visualization of data is also equally important, right? So this is one very powerful, very simple tool. You don't need any further explanation. You just explore a bit, maybe for half an hour or something, you will be in a position to understand. So again, that was in 3D. You can do the same thing in 2D. Okay, so this is similar to Climate Consultant, except for the fact that in Climate Consultant it will give you some suggestions also, what strategies you can adapt. Here this is only data reading for different this is January, February, and how the data is can be done. Yeah, or other things you can explore here. Schedule, I don't think these are not required as of now. Yeah, other things you can see which you will, which is of your interest, but normally we do use these kind of things. Shadow, dynamic daylight we use, shadow analysis we use, and also we use for example the sun path and 3D things. Yeah, so if you need explanations also, there's very brief explanation about what is sun path and how do we understand it, and what are the components of it. Yeah, so this is one thing which I thought I should tell you. Yeah, yeah, these are advanced tools. These are advanced tools that we use, and also what we have seen now is all about buildings, and there are certain tools like this for urban scale analysis also. Okay, so which I am not going to discuss now. There are tools, specific tools for understanding the urban scale also. Yeah, urban models, for example, urban weather generator is there, so where we can do analysis of this nature in the building. Okay, and also we use Enviment. Enviment is also another tool, very powerful tool. We use this, and in fact we have a license, and this is very expensive also. It's 1.5 lakhs per annum for one license actually. Yeah. Okay, fine. I think apart from that, I also suggest that we should also know how do we use instrument for understanding the climate. Okay, there are certain protocols for using instruments for measuring temperature, for measuring wind, airspeed, and humidity, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is also essential. there are certain protocols for that as well. Even all this we have. I don't know whether you have explored it or not. In our climatology lab, we have all this. Thermal imager, then we have Testo 480 for measuring temperature, humidity, and air speed or wind speed. And also we have now got globe thermometer as well, where we can actually record the temperature perceived in an indoor environment. Okay, I'll just quickly go through one case study. Okay, for example, we did one study on mitigating heat stress through climate responsive planning and design in Vijayawada case. Vijayawada, that one low income housing group. Okay, so I'll skip all this. These are certain objectives through which the study was done. In fact, we did two things. One is, of course, when we deal about the heat stress, we should know one, how building is performing. Okay. The second component that we should know is how people are perceiving the heat. Okay. From, is it correct? Everything correct? What we see in the simulation and in the assessment, or it is different and or it is the same as perceived by the people. Okay, so this kind of study demands that the approach in which both has to be done. So qualitative study has to be done to understand how heat is perceived in the urban setting. These are some of the marked students. We did one studio there in one of the low income settlements where we collected data on qualitative data. What data we collected, I think it is too much for you to grasp now. Okay, so we used Testo 480 and thermal images to understand all that, and we did use GIS also for generating the map. Okay, let's quickly go through the location. Somewhere in the north. Yeah, we are here actually. Somewhere here in the north. And this is the settlement. This is actually rehabilitated colony. Okay. Yeah. So within this, actually, this is the entire study case area. Within that, we picked one urban setting. You can say urban block, where we have some open space, and then you have rows of buildings, and this is apartments on the other side. Okay. And there is a concept called level of detailing, called archetype. Okay, when we do modeling of this urban scale, in building scale, what we do is we do model like this, right? We do the model of the entire building to the extent that we also put furnitures and colors and materials and so on and so forth. We are as close as realistic image we try to do in building analysis. Okay. However, in urban scale, it is not possible to model all this in this level of detailing. Of course, we can do, but it will take hell lot of time. And imagine if the same thing has to be done for this particular area or this particular entire city. Okay, that will be a huge, tremendous task. Okay, so what we do is in urban scale assessment, there is a concept called archetype, and these are called level of detailing, LOD. Okay, so sometimes we stick to this level itself for understanding the overall build form, or we go to this extent. Yeah, I'll show you how we have done. So within this fabric, we identified some clusters, some units using this technique. Okay, and if we understand these units that are marked here, we'll be in a position to comment on overall building, overall case area itself. Okay, so suppose if for understanding this, we have taken some samples, like for example some 13 samples we have taken. So that 13 sample will be good enough to comment on how the entire 120 buildings that is there in this study area is performing. Yeah, so that's the logic. And the technique used is archetype and LOD. Yeah, so these are some of the examples. We have modeled the building by visiting site. This is the location with respect to the setting. Okay, this is the real picture, and we have also done the inventories of how much equipments they use for lighting, for cooling, for heating, for refrigeration, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and also we took measurements at different space. Okay, this is one space, this is another space, this is third space. What is the temperature during the time of interview? Yeah, so like that this was done. And also we have mapped what they were doing. For example, if they are giving interview, that time half an hour before, what they were doing. Okay, that is also needed, because otherwise that will have an implication on the answers the kind of answers they give. Okay, activity mapping for the entire day was also done for each case. Okay, so, and of course for material wise, the thickness, density, conductivity, specific heat, resistance of each material that is used in this building was calculated. Yeah, similarly we did for all the 13 cases which I showed in the beginning. Same procedure was followed to map all the different archetype level of detailing that I was saying was done. This was for this area, and in this area we had apartments. For apartments also we did the similar case, because it is not possible to, you can see these are 4-floor apartments. Number of apartments are there, 32 plus 32, I guess 32 number of apartments were there. 33 apartments, and each with each 32 units. Okay, so it is not possible to analyze all, so we have to pick specific things, so specific units, so that it can be representative of the entire fabric. So same logic, we took these 2 buildings, 2 apartments. Within that 2 apartments we identified different units. Okay, so this will behave differently, because it has got a building on front, you have buildings on either side. Oh, this is one case. This is another case where 2 side, this is open, one side is blocked, this side is also blocked. Yeah, so this is also one case where we have opening on 2 sides and blocked on the front side. So like that we have identified some cases, and that was alone modeled and studied further, okay, to very detailedly, including modeling of materials and so on and so forth. Okay, recording of temperature using thermal imagery, and similar mapping exercise was done for this as well. Okay, instruments used, thermal perception, activity mapping, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so this requires very extensive study actually. In summary, I'll show you. The summary is okay, I think it's stuck. Yeah, these are the buildings that were studied. Okay, what is the unit area, what is the length and width, number of floors, occupants, percentage of openings in the particular unit, and how is it oriented, and what is the total energy consumed by that particular unit. Okay, and this is Vijayawada's temperature profile, maximum, minimum, and average. And what we did was we simulated. This is one result. Sorry, this is the result of one case. Okay, hourly. Okay, is 886. Okay, 365 multiplied by 24 hours. Okay, 8,800 hours. Very simple, 365 multiplied by 24. Okay, for all the hours, you can see there are two lines here. One is the gray line, that is all dry bulb temperature. Dry bulb temperature is the temperature that we can observe in the weather profile. Okay, and the red ones are the temperature that is actually there in the building. Yeah, so this was for the one case, and we did the same thing for all. Sorry, the file is little getting heavy. Not able to. Once, yeah, and we did the same thing for all 12 cases, and it is a superimposed data of how each building is performing with respect to the comparison. So I'll just give you a brief. Pitched roof was performing much better. Okay, so and also window at 7 feet height, which helped in the stack effect, which works in the is kind of a stack effect. Yeah, so which there are buildings with window at 7 feet were performing much better than other floors. This was one observation. You can see in all other case, the orientation of the building was not very significant actually. In fact, insulation did help in the buildings. Otherwise, placement of window on north, south, east, west, there's not much difference. There's no significant difference was observed. Yeah, so that was one case study. This is another case. This is not a case study. This is actually research work on the what is that street name? Besant Road. We did one study on Besant Road, how people perceive heat in this street. Okay, so how it was done? This is half of the study, half of the street. The other half is here that we did not take. This is 500 meters one, and within this is one. We have identified different aspect ratio. I think you must have. I don't know whether you have learnt about it. Aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is when I stand here. The geometry of the building, the height and the geometry of the building is different. Here it is different, right? So aspect ratio will tell you with respect to that specific point what is the ratio of the building to the openings. Yeah, so we identified different aspect ratios within the street, and we took that as a sample collecting area, and within that sample collecting area we have divided into three. This suppose this is the street, this is one side of the street, other side of the street. So we divided one point, we took one point here, one measurement here, and one measurement here, and one measurement here. Within this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that was the idea. So this is the aspect ratio I was explaining. For example, in point 1, the height of the building is 10 meters and 7 meters, and the depth is 12, which is more or less constant. You can see the aspect ratio is 0.7. In the case of point 2, this one, where we have very low rise building on this side, the aspect ratio is higher. Yeah, okay. So these are some of the measurements that was extracted, how heat is perceived in this particular climate. NVMET was used to analyze how heat is spread throughout the country as the crowd throughout the case area, and how it is perceived by the pedestrian users. Yeah, and these are some of the results, and I think I'll stop with this. Okay, one or two quick points on why we don't do this kind of research. This is not probably you must have read. I don't think you must have seen this kind of results now in your studios because of certain limitations that we have. Okay, one major limitation is we took there is one paper on this. Probably those who are interested in learning this, maybe I will highlight. I'll share that material. Otherwise, I'll just highlight 2-3 quick points. One is there are different ways of understanding the building and the urban that we should know. The second thing that is the most important thing, which I normally say that this is the most important thing, is the scientific temperament needed for doing this kind of experiment. Yeah. So many a times we architects are not scientifically inclined. They are emotionally inclined. Okay, I like this building. This will work. This will not work. Okay, this I believe that this will work. This is not science. Okay, we need numbers. We need quantitative assessments, scientific approach to design of buildings. Yeah, that is lacking. That's why we don't approach all in this manner. The second thing in complementing the this argument is we lack skills. We don't have skills to. Okay, even if I say let us explore building geometry performance. Let us develop 4-5 form and assess its performance. How do we assess the performance? What tools I know to assess the performance? Okay, so that technical skill is also not there. Yeah. The third thing is the access to data and also the tools. I said simple tools. I told you these are free. Openwares are available, but openwares are restricted. You can do some analysis. Not all the analysis are possible. Here again we have some restriction because we do not have the professional tools. Okay, so but what I suggest normally in the studio is it's okay. We can explore using the open source data set that we have, open source tools that we have. Okay, so that itself is fine. And instead of saying instead of waiting, let's wait for getting the professional tool. Only then I will proceed. Instead of wasting time like that, we can use very simplified and acceptable tools which are openware, which are free. Okay, so that is another thing that we lack. Yeah, dwelling with the problem rather than giving. I think this is not required. I think I'll not discuss it now. Okay, I think that's all from my side. I'm stopping here, and if you have any questions, you